Peace, family. What's going on? Peace, peace. Just getting everything together. Peace. DTR 360 Books Podcast, episode 4. It's about to launch. If you can hear me, drop a book emoji. If you can hear me, drop a book emoji. If you can hear me, drop a book emoji. Is my mic on? Is my mic on? Peace, sis. What's going on?
Hey.
Give me 1 second. Let me I'm gonna do the intro, and then I'm gonna play the introduction real quick.
Okay.
All right.
Oh yeah, I want to filter, so I'm working on my filter. Yeah.
You got everything set? You got your books and everything? Oh, you don't need it?
Nah. All right, let me go get it.
Yeah.
Let me go get it. All right, hold on. Give me a second. All right, I'll be right back.
All right, family, we're about to begin. Give me 1 second. All right, cool. I see some books, so my audio is perfect. Bet. All right.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Oh, wait 1 second.
Welcome to DTR 360 Books Podcast. DTR 360 Books will help you to increase reading literacy. We are here to create more doers and less talkers. This is where we execute the knowledge and put it into action. Enjoy this week's episode of the podcast.
Peace. What is going on, family? Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Hotep, Islam, Alafia. What's up? What's good? We are here. Another episode number 4 to be exact. Happy Monday. Oh man, we have a very special guest in the house today. Explaining her books. She's an author, explaining her businesses. She's an all-around multi-talented businesswoman. All right. So just a few housekeeping items. All right. If you do see the badge, making sure that you buy a badge or 2. Support the podcast. Share this live. You can also follow and subscribe to our podcast outlets. We are on Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio. We are on Google Podcasts, and we are on Stitcher as well. Also, don't forget to follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel, trying to get up to 500 subscribers. All right, so follow and subscribe to that. If you can't buy a badge, making sure that you can support by following and subscribing to either my YouTube and or both my YouTube and my podcast platforms. All right, family. So as I said before, we have a very special guest here tonight. I don't want to waste any more time. Sister Dana Bryson. All right. She is as I said before, businesswoman. She is a professor. She's an author. She's a mother. She's a wife. She's a sister. She's a daughter. All of those things in one. So, Dana, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Welcome.
Yes, yes. Awesome. So, how's your Monday going? How's everything?
This Monday was good. I took the Monday off a bit so to recalibrate because we had the pop-up shop yesterday and it wasn't intense, but I haven't done it in a long time, as you know. Like, this is way before COVID. Then I got pregnant. So it was definitely a laid back Monday. I really didn't do much. I was chilling.
Awesome, awesome, great. So, tell the family. I like to start off with people's upbringing because more times than one, it's either similar or it is very not that different, but it's different than the norm. So tell the people about your upbringing, and any sacrifices that you had to do, so on and so forth.
So my mother's not from this country. She's from Costa Rica. My dad, he is American. So I was raised predominantly by the Costa Rican side of my family. So
Okay.
a lot
Wait,
of
so
things were
you speak Spanish? You speak Spanish?
un poquito, a little bit.
Okay, poquito.
Yes, yes. So yeah, so I'm raised by them because we grew up in Brooklyn, we grew up in Crown Heights. We were different, but we were similar in the sense that my family owned property. A lot of my friends' families didn't own property. We definitely come from, they're more grounded in terms of, they have different type of morals. So I feel like being with that side of the family taught me hard work, taught me vision, taught me things that maybe if I was with another side of my family, I probably would not have learned that well, because they was just in a different position. And my mother passed away when I was 13 years old. That really
Sorry.
changed my life tremendously. And then we started living different places. We moved out of Crown Heights. I lived all over Brooklyn. And I struggled. I did. I struggled a lot with fitting in. My mother passed away when I was 13, right before I went to high school. And I really needed to understand my identity before I went into that setting. I also went to a school that was in a rough neighborhood. So, yes, I'm from New York. It was hard for me to navigate it without having a mom. I'm raised by men. I'm raised by my father. I'm raised by my brother. So in one sense, I do have a strong personality, but I feel like I have an imbalance because that feminine touch that you needed growing up wasn't really a part of my household because I pretty much lost all the women in my family before I was 14 years old. That was
Wow.
my house. So
Wow.
education was definitely a large part of my upbringing. Independence was too. Understanding money. We didn't understand money, but you had to be able to make it, right? So we understand that we needed to make money to survive. But like I said, I have more of a male dominate. Like when I look at things, it's like from a male's perspective. And sometimes I feel like now that I have a daughter, I'm like, okay, I get it. But yeah, I went to Meg Evans College. That's where I met you. I originally went to John Jay College because I wanted to get into mortuary science. Like I said, I experienced a lot of death young, so I understood that that was just something that's a part of life. I wanted to open up a funeral home because I was like, all funeral homes, everybody who owns a funeral home has to be a millionaire because people always pass away. So that's really that was what I wanted to do out of high school, but I couldn't find the mortuary science schools. And then I went to John Jay for forensic science. I hated it. I took a year off. I worked that whole year. And then I was walking and I found Meg Evans College. And, you knew me then, active in clubs. I became an English major. I graduated with my bachelor's in English linguistics. And then I went on to get my master's in political science. Still couldn't really, I always struggled with identity. Still really couldn't figure it out what I wanted to do.
Even like while you was in college
Oh, yeah.
at Mecca? Okay.
Yeah, because you know what? You can't see yourself. So now, if I was the person looking at me then, I'd have been like, girl, this is what you need to do. But me being the person going through my experiences, I really was relying on other people to tell me what my strengths were. And whatever they said, and I took it into consideration, I went in that direction. And every direction that I went in, I pretty much hated it. But I did well in school. Like that was something that I knew I had to do. So got the bachelor's, got the master's, went to corporate, did event coordinating in SUNY, worked with Governor Cuomo, worked with politicians, worked in different places, CBS, 60 Minutes, MSNBC. I mean, I just did a lot, and I still didn't know who I was. So.
And so do you now know who you are?
I think so. And I think knowing who you are is just a journey. Right. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's something that you have to really do a lot of things and have a lot of experiences to figure out. That's why I try to give my children experiences young, because the faster they can figure out who they are, the better I think their trajectory would be. Whereas when you're older and you're trying to figure out who you are, you're going through so much trial and error. You think about it. You're doing so much things that you shouldn't be doing, because really, you're not really searching for something in particular. You're searching for you. And when you can't find you, sometimes it leads you either on a rabbit hole to a great place or a rabbit hole to a bad place. And I don't want my kids to play that much Russian roulette with their lives, but I had to go through it. And I've been through a lot of terrible experiences just trying to navigate to try to find me. Meg Evers was a great place for me because I found my Blackness there. You know, my family is Hispanic, so they don't really believe in, they weren't rooted in their Blackness at all. But Mega Evers was really rooted in it. I really did well there.
So talk a little bit about that, because I know most people who, so for the people who don't know, Mega Evers is in Brooklyn, New York. It's a part of CUNY, City University of New York. CUNY has about 20 plus colleges, and so Mega Evers is one of those colleges. So when you said that when you went to Mega, you found your Blackness, can you talk a little bit about that and how that process went?
Well, just learning your history and being around people who know their history too. A lot of it has to do with history. I just didn't know. I wasn't taught in my household about, you know, dynasties, and I didn't even know about slavery. When I think about it, I knew about Kwanzaa because that's something that they celebrated in the public school system, but I didn't know where that came from or why we were doing it. So a lot of the school system really didn't teach me much, but because Mega was such a school that was rooted, like they tried their best to teach us as much history as possible and then give us the freedom to explore ourselves inside of that history. I think I did my thesis in African American lit history because I was so excited about what I learned. And then I also did it with a combination of African history combined with Hispanic history and how we even became, like, how did someone become Costa Rica? How did they get there? Like, what happened? You know what I mean? And their perspective with dealing with slavery as a Hispanic is very different from American. So I just learned a lot about it, and I'm happy I did, because now I'm able to share a lot of information with my daughter that she's never, ever going to get through any K through 12 education. And if she doesn't pick the right university, she's not going to get it there either.
Facts. Facts. Wow, yeah, like I didn't even know that, you know, at Mega, that's where you took African American studies, and you begin to, as you say, really develop a sense of who you are and what your purpose is, right? Because that's another thing. A lot of us struggle with finding our purpose. Why are we here on this earth? What is our purpose? Why are we living? Some people are just here and they're not living out their purpose, right? Meaningfully and purposefully. So, you know, you have to go through some experiences, some good and some bad, in order for you to find out who you are, in order for you to find out your purpose, and in order for you to really make things right. Right? Most times brothers and sisters have to go to jail in order to now walk down on the straight and narrow path. You know, unfortunately, some brothers and sisters don't learn. They still go back over and over again, but that's another topic. Right? Most time people like, nah, you know what I'm saying? That place ain't for me. Let me straighten up and do right. So let's switch gears a bit. So I know that you are business savvy. You have multiple businesses. How did you become so business savvy, Dana?
My brother, like, he just so happens to love, he loved finance. He went to school he's the first person that I knew that went to college. He went to college for economics. He was always a good student, surprisingly. My brother was a very academically inclined individual, you know, played football. He decided to go to Stony Brook. He got a background. He went there on a partial football scholarship and got a degree in economics. And he went straight to finance. And when he went from finance going to Chase Bank, he went straight to Wall Street. So, you know, this is my brother. So he's at this point, he's raising me. My mother passes away at 13. We're 9 years apart. He's my father. So I'm following him around and seeing what he's doing and going in to meet him at different, like on Wall Street, and he has a Range Rover. And I'm like, you know, he's giving me whatever I want. And I'm like, how's he doing this? You know, I didn't really know. And he started Brooklyn Wealth. He actually started something called Acacia Unlimited first. We were on Atlantic Avenue. He started it with his girlfriend, who was a lawyer. And during one tax season, they hired a tax preparer to be in the back because they did legal stuff in the front. He was in the back. And he had like 1,000, 1,200 clients. I ended up working the front desk and learning Drake. Learning Drake. And the guy, I remember when he first came, he was like, could you input this for me? I'm going to teach you this real quick. You're going to get it real fast. I was always real fast. Real fast.
You was a quick learner.
Yeah, so he taught it to me, and now I'm inputting data. That's all I did was input. And that's where I learned about taxes. No one had taught me about taxes before. I didn't know that you even paid taxes. I didn't know what was on my, you know, when you get your paycheck. I didn't know what was on it and what that meant.
And so how old were you when you started to work with your brother at the tax office?
19.
Wow, 19, okay.
And I'm 30 so yeah, 19.
And you had already graduated high school, and you was in college at that time as well?
Yes, I was in Meg Evans College. I was a night student. I was working during the day with him. And at first, I wasn't even a student at all. I didn't become a student until after that. But I had already got my little taste of entrepreneurship. Like, okay, Black people owning a business, getting money. All right, I see it. You know, empowering each other. His girlfriend, she was amazing from New Orleans. She taught me a lot about business. She's a big businesswoman in Texas right now. So I really, you know, the universe put me in the middle of people in business. I could have been anywhere, but he put me right in the middle of business at a very young age. And I just, you know, just always stuck with it. I love entrepreneurship. I knew that I could make money on my own because I seen it happen.
Right. Indeed. And so, speaking of business, what kind of businesses do you have? I know you have about 3 or 4, right? If you can, you know, state them real quick.
Okay, so I have a nonprofit organization called Building Young Moguls where I teach teens around the country virtually about entrepreneurship principles, really focusing on branding and marketing because that is my specialty. But I also teach them about being compliant, different business structures. I laser focus in on celebrities that they like who have businesses and teach them how to breaking it down and how they make so much money. Sorry about that. Become millionaires and billionaires in their market. That nonprofit organization is for teens 11 to 17 years old. We run 3 cycles of boot camp. I actually started it in COVID-19. We ended up doing so well that Starbucks started giving us grants to actually facilitate the workshop. So Starbucks is our main donor, aside from our regular donors as well. Yeah. That's one of them, the nonprofit organization Building Young Moguls. I also have a for-profit S corporation called Dana Cannon Bryson Inc. That's where I do all my branding services. Whether you need your business forms, you need your to learn about business formation services, you need to trademark, you need to become compliant, you want to build business credit, you want to do your logo, you want to do your website. You want to do everything that you need to get started. My company, Dana Cannon Bryson Inc. provides it. That is my primary source of income. That is my primary business that brought me to this point and anchored me to be able to do other things. And then I have another brand called Mommy and Tint. I'm sorry, that's my kids. I have another brand called Mommy and Tintin. It is a brand around my children, where I write stories about kids who are growing up with their parents in a relationship of a Black family. This is the second book. So this is my husband. This is my 2-year-old son. And this is my daughter who's 6 now. That's supposed to be me, but it's not. But anyway, it just highlights the relationship between a mother and daughter. I was inspired by losing my mother and having a daughter. So I decided to create something that we could have. And then it also comes with a coloring book. So this is really my daughter's brand. I basically gave her, it's like, I'm giving you this business and this is what you're going to start with. But yeah, those are the 3 businesses that I have.
So, quick question, because I know Mommy and Tintin, you wrote a book prior to book 2? Because you said book 2. So there's 2 book versions.
Yeah, so there's 2 reading books now. We have this is the original book, Mommy and Tintin, that you seen 3 years ago when she was younger. This is the second book of Mommy and Tintin. This is her baking in the kitchen, her showing her baking skills and talking about, you know, baking a cake for her father during the Black Lives Matter March. So what we do, because you know in literature, I'm an English major, you only know that that book was written in that period of time when they have snapshots of something. Then they'll give you an indication on when it was. So for this one, let me see, let me show you. You know, they kind of have like the Black Lives Matter mask. So I wanted that to be the indicator, like, okay, yeah, we did this during the Black Lives Matter March in COVID with the mask on. So this is really snapshotting a moment in time.
Dope.
Yeah.
So now, I think you mentioned it. So what's the difference between book 1 and book 2? I know you said book 2 is when Tintin is baking in the kitchen. Are there any other distinctions between book 1 and book 2?
Absolutely. Book 1 is for children that are much younger who are learning how to read. So if you notice in book 1, the texts are much larger. The story is shorter, and we put more focus on the scene in the book for the kids to make a connection, because that's how children learn how to read. My daughter's reading at a 3rd grade level. She's in 1st grade. We've been reading together since she was born. So I started analyzing the books that we were getting and realized, like, oh, kids' books do this versus these more advanced books that do other things. With this book, you get bigger words. You get more, you know, you get harder concepts, but it's connected to recipes so that kids could be like, oh, what's vanilla extract? You know, this is vanilla extract. You know what I mean? Like, so this one is a little bit more advanced in the writing process. That's the big difference between both books. But for this book, I made a coloring book. It fell. Hold on. In the coloring book, it's not just coloring. You have like crossword puzzles where they can find the words. You know, in school, they give you these cutouts, like what process come first, second, and third. We have
order sequence.
Yeah, helping them with phonics. You know, I'm trying to really, I know that reading is something that our community is not really doing amazing with right now. So I think that for my daughter to come out something, it had to be educational. It had to be something for the community. If it wasn't for the community, we just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, so you said a couple of things that struck me, because I'm big on education myself. This is an educational platform. So how old is Tintin, if you don't mind me asking?
She's 6.
6. So she's 6 years old, and she's reading on a 3rd grade reading level.
Correct.
I'm gonna clap it up. So I'm sorry, I don't have I don't have that effect right now, but I will get it soon. But no, that is profound. That is paramount, because as you know, I teach 1st graders, and so I was probably about a good handful of them are reading on even a 3rd grade reading level. But so my question is, how did, because I'm big on learning how to read so that you can read to learn. There's a difference. You need to learn how to read first. Many of us can read words, yes, but it's a difference when we learn how to read, learning the blends, learning the consonants, right? Learning the verb, the adjectives, so on and so forth. That's learning how to read. So now my question is, how did you get your daughter Tintin to learn how to read? And how did she, get up to that 3rd grade reading level so fast?
So we have been reading every night since she was born. I remember my husband was laughing at me. You know, I was in there with the book. Look, this is Mary. Like, she was head leaning. You know, when they babies and their head is still, I was still like, reading to her, talking to her at a very young age, because when I went and did studies, I was very into motherhood. I wanted to do it right. So I was doing a lot. And also I was kind of an older mom too, but I did a lot of research on how children read, on autism, on, the things that they should eat. I breastfed her for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to give her anything. I breastfed my son. So I think
Yeah.
that reading to her every day just brought her comprehension higher. One thing I also did to her is I introduced her to pictures. She picked up pictures. They pick up pictures faster than they're going to pick up the words. Once they understand the picture, they're going to make the connection between the picture and the word. Right. And my daughter goes to a very academically challenging school. She's the only Black girl. She's one of 2 Black girls in her class. She's a class of 25. She is at the top of that class because she makes decisions, and she just understands, like, okay, this is this. This is this. You know what I mean? Like, she just gets it. And I think it's because we've been reading and we've been talking for a long time. We played a lot of games. I introduced her to art. By the time she can pick up an art stick, we were painting. Anything that activates the brain, we were
Yes.
doing it. Blocks, art, we do a lot of songs. Even with her right now, she's doing 12 spelling words. She always gets 100 on her test because I turn all the spelling words into songs, like rap songs. So we rapping to the song in the car because those repetitive things that we continue to do allows her to pick up the information very quickly. Yeah. So puzzles, yes, puzzles as well. She did puzzles more so on ABC Mouse. ABC Mouse is a great tool. If you're gonna have your children on a laptop, you might as well get ABC Mouse, or you might as well get Brainsy. Like, we're giving our kids the technology, but we're not giving them the right tools inside of the technology. They're on YouTube. So it's very important for you to ingrain all this information on these tablets. Everything around me is education. We have books all over the house. Now, I know my husband is sick of books. We got books on the top, the bottom, the floor, the bedrooms, in their beds. It's because I always want them to understand that reading is fundamental. It will take you everywhere you need to go. Comprehension and reading. Like, that's our benchmark in this house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I know my audience is tired of me saying it, so they get to hear it from a different person. So thank you. Yes, thank you so much for grooming, cultivating, and instilling in your daughter the importance and significance of education and reading.
Yeah.
Because God forbid, if you do decide to stray away, she will always remember the foundation. And the foundation is what is important. And she will always come back to that foundation. Like, mommy always told me that reading is key. Mommy always instilled in me that education is the way to go. Education would take you far, further than you want to go. So yes, that is deep. So I want to go back to the business aspect a little bit. So you mentioned something about SCorp. So you have an SCorp, Dana Cannon Bryson Inc., right? And so why didn't you use that as an LLC? Why did you use it as an SCorp? And if you can, what's the difference between an SCorp and an LLC?
Okay, so, well, first of all, LLCs are companies. S-corps are corporations, so they have shares. They're different. They're governed highly by the federal government and the state level. The reason why I chose an S-corp was because I really didn't know. My brother has an accounting firm. So if you go to an accounting firm and you are ready to maximize or minimize your tax liability, they're almost always going to tell you to get an S-corp. I would not have done that. I do not recommend that off the bat to my clients because I find that they can't stay compliant, right? When it's time to do the business taxes, they don't know that they have to do a separate business tax return. There's certain information when it comes to an S-corp that you have to pay attention to. But if you do want to get the best tax benefit, it's going to be the S-corp or the LLC, which I found out later when I started going in business for myself. The LLC could be taxed as an S-corp, but LLC is a company, right? So there are no shares. You can only have members of the LLC. And it's a very flexible entity on a tax level. An LLC can be taxed as a sole proprietorship, or it could be taxed as a corporation. That is up to you. The LLC gives you the liability protection that you need, but it gives you the time and flexibility to grow. And a lot of people are becoming entrepreneurs today. And I feel like if you are not groomed and you do not understand your tax responsibility and you're not connected to an accountant, I highly recommend that you would go the route of an LLC versus an S-corp. And also, S-corps have perpetual existence. When you pass away, your S-corp is still going to be here. that means it's going to be the responsibility of a child. When the LLC, that's why in real estate, we own 2 properties, 2 multifamily properties. My properties are in LLCs. Their LLC's name, right, is as an LLC versus an SCorp, because if something happens to me, the LLC goes away and it goes to my kids, the property. So this is a better.
Right. So now, quick question: Can you, because you said with an S corp, you can basically like inherit the S corp to your child,
Yes.
daughter, or son. Can you do the same with an LLC?
No.
Okay.
When you pass away, the LLC is gone.
So the city or the state takes it over, or
it kind of just
what
dissolves on
happens
its
to it?
own. It kind of just dissolves on its own. Like they'll tell you, like, imagine if I have a bank account, my husband, God forbid, I go to the bank, he goes to the bank, they said something happens to me, then they're going to probably convert that account right over back to him, and it's going to be that LLC account is going to shut down. It doesn't have perpetual existence past your lifespan.
Okay, good. So that's great to know. So family, if you are in business and you have an LLC, you would and if you want your daughter or your son to inherit your business, then you would need to switch that over to an S corp. Correct?
Yeah, I would. But you want to be very careful because they have to stay compliant as well. So sometimes we just don't, like, who knows that business taxes is due on March 15th? There's so many people walking around here and they don't know that their SCorp business taxes is due on March 15th. So what ends up happening, the state, depending on what state you have and what rules they have, I'm sorry, they end up sending you a bill for a SCorp that you didn't know how to manage because you didn't do your business taxes on time. But if you are going to get in any of these entities, don't trust me. Do your own research. Like, I think that is one of the downfalls in what's allowing us as a culture to struggle. We don't want to go to Barnes and Nobles and buy that book. It's simple. Invest in a book, learn the information, ask the right questions, choose which one is applicable to you. Even if someone is saying that they are an expert, everyone's an expert on the internet today. Every single person. So you can't go off of what they know. You can't go off of what I know. You can only go off of what you know. Do your research first.
Right.
Yeah.
Great advice. No, yeah. Great advice. So now you do have a workbook out, right?
Yes.
That's one of your latest books. Can you talk about that?
I'm sorry, I'm plugging you in before you shut down.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Let me plug it in. Yes, I have something called, it's called the Game Changers Workbook. It's a branding guide and workbook. And what it essentially does is go into your brand. Like, what's your mission? What's your vision? Who's your target audience? Why are they your target audience? What are you trying to sell? Why are you selling it? It's really connecting you to your brand so that it resonates with people the way you want it to. So a lot of times we think that when we're marketing our business, we feel like we automatically have a brand. You do have a brand, but that's something that you can't control. You don't know what it's going to be. When you just jump out the window and do something, you don't know what the brand is going to take. You don't know what it's going to become in someone's mind, because branding starts here. It's perception. Marketing is what you say. Branding is what people believe about your business. So in this book, it takes people through a process of, getting their vision together, understanding their target audience, understanding, developing their mission statement, their vision statement, so that they can hand it over to somebody, or they could do it themselves and develop their own brand and make it applicable to their business.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So this is for like new entrepreneurs, new businessmen and women who want to develop their brand or want to develop their business. They will get this book.
Yes, if you are a new entrepreneur, even if you're an existing entrepreneur, you know what I mean? Like, I'm more now doing corporate clients. So I'm rebranding the school in a DOE, and I'm doing a shipping company in Midtown Manhattan, and they use it. They use it too because they never did it.
Right.
Some people never do this process, so they had no idea how to make their marketing material, what their stuff should look like. They kind of just jumped into business and put on a shirt, slapped the logo on, and kicked the pushing. So this book is for, I realize now, with the amount of people and the different people that are buying it, that it could be useful at any level of business. Especially if you've never done a brand strategy before.
And so now, does this book also mention anything about trademarking? Because when you do have a logo, you want to make sure and trademark that as well, if you can.
No, the reason why it doesn't is because I think that somebody who is at this level, who's really starting to delve into their brand, I don't think that they should trademark, because they don't know if that's the mark that they're going to keep for the lifetime of their business. So with trademarks, I always recommend my clients to at least use the mark for a year or year and a half before they decide to trademark, because you may do something, you may realize this is not resonating with me anymore. I want to change the mark. So, and trademarking, of course, is a higher expense. You got to go through legal to get a trademark. You know, the attorney would do your trademark. You could do your own trademark if you pick up a book. My attorneys told me, but most people go to an attorney to do their own trademark. So, it's not something that you should jump into unless you feel like this is it. So I would give it a year and a half, 2 years. But no, this book doesn't talk about trademark.
Awesome. Now, so I noticed that you have both a non-for-profit and a for-profit business. Now, so why you decided to have both a non-for-profit and a for-profit?
Well, what I was originally setting out to do was create a social responsibility program, like you see these big corporations they do, where an arm of the company does community work, right? But what I wanted to be able to fundraise and get the grants to funnel to the community. I ultimately don't want to be the executive director of Building Young Moguls, because I feel like it's a conflict of interest. I want to continue to be the chairperson. I want to continue to own majority of the voting privileges in the nonprofit, but I think that we may need to we have to appoint somebody down the line to take it where it needs to be, because I'm too split. I'm too like flustered. I have a lot going on. I'm a creative. I have a lot going on, and I want it to grow and continue to be impactful. But I feel like I love Building Young Moguls way more than I love my for-profits. I love my community. Me and you, we did the toy drive. I called you like, John, I want to do this. I want to do this toy drive. I want to give all these toys to these kids in the shelter. I want to take toys from my kids and give it to other kids. I've always had that kind of community-oriented mindset. So for me, my nonprofit has way more longevity than any of my businesses I create, because ultimately I want to go out helping my people grow. So building my nonprofit is really what I've always wanted to do. That's in my heart. Versus just making money.
Right. Awesome. Grace, family, if you have any questions or concerns, let me know. Drop them in the question box. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. Drop them in the question box. All right. So what's next? What's next for Building Young Moguls? What's next for Dana Cannon Bryson Inc.? And what's next for Mommy and Tintin as well?
Well, for Building Young Moguls, we're just trying to make sure that our program that we already have, the boot camp, is ran effectively and efficiently. We're looking for instructors to teach various amount of subjects. We don't want to just capsulate it inside of entrepreneurship. We want to teach them different things. So that's really what I'm focused on right now. Getting a better team. A bigger team. For Dana Cannon Bryson Inc., I have already started doing corporate contracts. I think I want to continue to go that route, and I want to start to teach the skills that I have so people can have them, and maybe they could do something like this for their community. You know what I mean? But that's really where I'm focused on, just continuing to do my services, becoming the best at my services, and growing my people in terms of business, understanding business. I started delving into business credit. I've been building my own business credit. My credit score is really high, so now I could go and get cell phones. I want to be able to put property in my business. I have property in a business name, but I want to be able to put my car in my business name so I could get those tax write-offs. Like, I really want to get people thinking about business credit, because this is something that we don't know. You don't only have your personal credit score. You can leverage your business credit score when you become an entrepreneur or small business owner. So that's really where we're focusing on right now. And with Mommy and Tintin is really trying to teach my daughters my daughter about business and keeping it where it is. You know, we have the second book, we have the coloring book, you know, and really pushing this the way it should have been pushed the first time around.
Okay. So you doing more promotion for it and everything. And if the people that are listening on the podcast or listening here right now are interested in getting any of your books, where do they go? Do you have a website?
So right now, Mommy and Tintin website is under construction, but they can buy it from Amazon. If they put my name, Dana Cannon Bryson, every book that I've ever written, I have like 5, they can purchase it. So they'll be able to see it. And yeah, right now we don't have the books because I ran out of books. I sold out yesterday.
Good.
So I'm going to restock the books and then push the website, and people can buy the books directly from me.
Awesome. Great. So let's talk about target audience, right? Because when we are developing our business or businesses, we want to make sure and target the exact audience. We don't want to go too small, and we don't want to go too wide. So I noticed that you mentioned building young moguls, your not-for-profit. Your target audience is 11 through 17 years old. Why that target audience of 11 through 17 years old, and why not say 11 through 21 or 25 years old?
That's true. The reason why I did it is because I wanted to do it for kids that were in K through 12 system. So 11 to 17 years old, 11-year-old they have the aptitude to understand my concepts. A lot of my grant winners are between 11. A lot of my grant winners are 11 to 13 years old. That's like a sweet age for creativity that I'm starting to notice, where they're becoming themselves and they're morphing and their aptitude is increasing, so they do very well. But my goal is to be in the DOE and do this program and teach entrepreneurship. And it's really not about becoming a business owner. Entrepreneurship allows you to become more innovative. It allows you to become sharper. It allows you to look at the world from different perspectives. I don't know why entrepreneurship education has never been in our school system. Well, I know why, because they don't want us to know. See, when they don't want us to know, they're going to keep it out the school system because they know that's where we get the majority of our education. But other people, other cultures, they have their families who already had businesses for a long time. But anyway, entrepreneurship education is not about starting a business. It's about thinking outside the box. And I want to train kids to be able to utilize that skill so they can apply it to anything that they want to do in life, whether they want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a politician. We need an entrepreneurial mindset for the future. And 11, I want to do it in the DOE system at that sweet age where there's middle school to high school.
Okay, middle school to high school. Okay, to learn about entrepreneurial skills and entrepreneur in general, right? Awesome. So before we conclude and depart, real quick commercial break. Family, if you are now tuning in, you are listening to DTR 360 Books podcast. Our mission is to help increase the reading literacy rate. Our mission is to help increase the reading literacy rate. You can subscribe and follow our Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast platforms, and spread the word. We want to help increase our reading literacy rate amongst African Black people so that they can have a better understanding of life, so that they can have a better understanding of purpose, a better understanding on where to go, and a better understanding on education within itself. So definitely making sure that you support. You can support by just following and subscribing to our YouTube channel. All right. Also, we have our podcast here every Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Awesome. So, Dana, I want to talk a little bit about higher learning, because I know you taught higher learning for some years at Medgar Evers College, if I'm not mistaken. And so, what was that process like? And do you see low reading literacy within higher learning?
Absolutely. I'm not
Mm,
even sure how our kids are getting into, like, how did you graduate
right.
high school? Yeah.
Social promotion, right? Social
Yeah.
promotion.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand why our students, because obviously I'm at Medgar Evers College, so I'm working with predominantly African American students,
Mm,
and I just
mm,
feel like their aptitude of a lot of things is very low when they're coming into college, right? Because CUNY kind of
mm,
opens the door for, and no, Medgar Evers College, excuse me, opens the door for all types of students. So you're going to get students who are reading, have very high aptitude mixed with students who don't have it at all. So it's very low. So it's very weird. And I do question the DOE a lot. It made me look at them even more. My daughter is not in DOE. My daughter's in private
oh,
school because
wow.
I don't understand the curriculum. When these students come into this classroom, I don't understand why I have to go and teach them how to write an essay, a basic essay. Like
Wow.
there's a lot,
Beginning, middle, and end. They don't know. Wow. Mm,
like thesis statement, like they don't, I have to break it down. I am breaking information down to its simplest level at a college level.
mm,
That's in our community and for our people. And I'm very confused how we even accepted that for so long. Like it's weird for me.
mm,
But I think that I also taught College Now. College Now gave me the opportunity to work with students that was 15 to 17. That's what inspired me to start building your moguls and have that age range, because the new generation, Generation Z, they're very open because of technology. Medgar Evers is a melting pot when it comes to their older students. But the kids who come in there to take their college courses that are functioning on a higher level, that's going to bigger universities, they are very impressionable, but they are also very sure of themselves, right? And these are your Muslim students. These are your, especially my highly religious students. They are very smart. I'm like, wow, like they're so grounded. They know who they are. So
mm,
I think
mm.
that at Medgar Evers College, or even at the collegiate level where I was, I think that it shows and shine a light on the type of educational system we really have. Is disproportionately not in our favor.
Right. Yeah. And I think we know that. And so I think it's like twofold. Two, we know that and don't care because it's like millions and millions of people still smoke cigarettes, and it's on a damn carton that it can cause lung cancer. They just don't care, right? So, and this topic of miseducation or the lack thereof is not new. So we know that the public school system is not working in our best favor. We know that the public school system, it doesn't certify and give proper knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of who you are and of life in general. But yet, because of convenience and because of other reasons, we still take our children to these public school systems. And Malcolm X, may Allah be pleased with him, said it best, that you'll be a fool if you let your enemy teach your children. And so this is one of the reasons why, in my opinion, we don't see any growth. We don't see any change, is because we are letting our enemy, which is the system, teach our children. Our enemy, the system, would not give us the tools in order to be free.
Mm-hmm.
Our enemy, the system, will not give our children life lessons, services, and programs that they need so that we can overtake and overpower them. Right? So it's and I think we know that, but it's either we don't care, one, and two, is for convenience use. Because many of us are not fortunate enough to send our children to private school. We're not fortunate enough to even go to a charter school. Even, charter school is a little better. But anyway, I just went off on a tangent. My bad. So, huh?
No, you listen.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Here's the thing, right? When it comes to, I'm sorry, that's my husband trying to get in touch.
Oh.
When it comes to the system, right? If you create a system and you want to continue to make that system work or empower, keep it in power, you have to have an educational system that's going to funnel people in certain places, because the system would not exist anymore, right? And we're in the position to disrupt. Thank God for the internet. Thank God for social media. Like, honestly, it's bad and it's good, but it gave us an opportunity that we never had in the past, right? And
Like what?
we
Like
can
what
share with
opportunity?
each other. We can share with each other. I mean, I don't know. I know you go through sometimes getting shadow banned. So, I mean,
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah, but I mean, like, we're able to share, we're able to connect. A lot of my students in Building Your Moguls don't live in New York, in New Jersey. My kids live in Arkansas, Louisiana, Houston, Texas, Georgia. I mean, I'm tapping into kids that live in these small, small towns. And if we don't think that we have the resources and we're connected to a big city, they have no resources like this at all that exist in their 10-mile perimeter. You know what I mean? So it gave us the opportunity to have a reach that we didn't have before, because how would I get in contact with these children? I just feel like we cannot expect the system to do anything but try to self-preserve. That's what it's here
To
for.
preserve them.
Of course. Of course.
Right.
So they're not doing anything that I don't expect them to do. I just think that it's just unfortunate that we're not self-aware that it's happening. My group of people that I hang out with, we are self-aware. But unfortunately, the larger population of our people, they don't know, their parents still don't know how to read. So now you telling them to think about what's important for reading. They don't know. They don't understand why they should read. You know what I mean? You coming from broken homes. You coming from families of women that are, not mothers. They're not mothering their children properly. They're not eating properly. They're not teaching their child how to navigate the system properly, because they don't know how to navigate the system. They're just trying to get by, right? So you can't really rely on our people to liberate themselves, because they're still lost. They're still
So
lost. And we cannot
essentially,
expect the system to go against what it's designed to do, and that's to self-preserve,
oh yeah. Oh
self-interest.
yeah.
They're not
Right.
doing anything that they shouldn't be doing.
Self-preservation is the first law of nature. You must preserve the self. And I always say that education starts at home. So again, kudos to you for, as you said, being self-aware. But even if, well, as you say, we have the information. Information is literally in the palms of our hand. So, spare me with these excuses, right? If you want to know, you will know.
But
Just
some
like
people don't even know that they should know.
but I mean, the information is out here. So something got to click, right? Because many of us, not just my page, there's hundreds of Black conscious pages that's promoting information, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And I'm pretty sure they may have seen it once or twice, but they bypass it. They scroll up. I don't want to see this mess, right? So you're choosing, in this day and age, you're choosing not to be aware. You're choosing not to have some sort of level of understanding about the world in which you live in. You're choosing because the information is right in your face, but you're choosing to bypass it. You're choosing to, block people that may be giving you life lessons,
But what
right? And so I go back to the example of knowing that cigarettes can cause lung cancer and can cause health problems, yet most of us still smoke cigarettes 5 packs a day.
are we smoking it because we're not smoking it we're not only smoking it because we don't care. We're smoking it because it's addictive, right?
That
So think
too.
about it, right? Think about it. Look at hip hop, right? Everyone is feeding into the hip hop culture, not the hip hop culture that created the original hip hop culture that talked about what our streets were going through. We're talking about a hip hop culture that is now wrapped around artificial bodies, that is wrapped around just money, that's just wrapped around whatever, right? Everything negative, everything counter to what we are supposed to be. Most Black people are feeding into hip hop culture, right? So now we're being programmed. Like, it's not that we are choosing, we are in a sense, but when you're choosing based on a program, what do you think you're going to choose at the end of the day, right? Like, we're programmed. People who are addicted to cigarettes is tapping into something that's causing them to be addicted to it. They want to get off. I'm telling you, they do. People who are addicted to drugs, they want to get off drugs, but they have a hard time doing that because there's something else in there that's tapping into something else in our bodies that's causing us to be addicted, and we feel like we need it to survive. Our people think that we need these things to survive. Do you know how hard it is to change someone who thinks they need something to survive?
Yeah.
You're gonna look wacky. Who is this guy? What is he talking about? Vegan? Well, I've been eating meat all my life. I've been sitting at the table eating fried chicken and chitlins. So you're going to look foreign to someone who isn't ready to change. And a lot of us are not ready. We can teach and talk and do whatever we want all day. But if they are not ready to walk and to choose a different lifestyle, our people are going to stay in the same position that they're in. And majority of us, we're just not ready. We're just not ready.
Word. So yes, definitely. It's a combination of things. It's not just, one or be all type of thing, right? And yes, thank you, sister, for giving that perspective. That was definitely profound as well. Many of us aren't ready to change. Some of us, and kudos to some of us that have changed and are now walking a righteous path, like myself, right? All of us didn't, come out the womb, walking down the righteous path. So, kudos for people who have changed and are now doing something to help other people wake up. Each one reach one. That's right. And each one teach one. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be teaching, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, overstanding, and understanding until I go 6 feet under. Mm-hmm. That's my life. And that's my purpose, right? So speaking of, life and purpose, we are winding down. So sister, can you give us some advice? I ask my guests all the time to give us some advice. One, since you're business oriented, can you give us some business advice? One, and then two, if you can, give us some life advice, because like myself, we've been through a lot. So you may help someone, at least one person, say, or even think about, you know what? I do need to change, go here, go there. I do need to do something different. So what's one business advice you would give and one life advice you would give to the people?
So one business advice I would give is, if you are ready to get in business and entrepreneurship, trust your instincts, trust yourself. A lot of the people that we're trying to sell to are us, our own selves. So we really just need to delve and do deep research on who we are to pull out what it is that's really unique inside of us, and we sell that, because right now, authenticity is what makes people stand out. And that's the business part. And do your research, please. Like, don't jump into anything. Like I said earlier, make sure you do your research. Don't trust anyone's word for it. Go pick up a book, get on Google, figure out information before you
check out my website.
Yes, before you decide to do anything. As for life advice, you are what your habits are, right? I'm reading Atomic Habits. If you want to change, since we were talking about change, You have to change your habits. You cannot change if you don't change the things that you do every day, the people that you're around, the conversations that you're having, the things that you are internalizing. You cannot change if you do not change your environment. So if you're really ready for change and you want to become a different person and you want to become the person that you know you want to be, you have to change your habits and assess, what am I doing every day? Why I'm on the same hamster wheel. What you have to do is self-assessment and self-reflection and change your habits first for you to change and for you to become who you want to be. And change always happens when you decide, this is the person that I want to be. That's the first step. And then you change your habits. But you're not going to change if you don't change your habits.
Word. And I always say that your habits dictate your character, and your character will dictate your destiny. So definitely habits is the key. Habits is the change that you want to see in this world. All right. Beloved, thank you so much. We are at the
Thank you for having
conclusion.
me.
Man, of course, man. And I plan on having you, some months down the line as well. So you have been awesome. This was a great dialogue. I appreciate you always. Keep flourishing, keep blossoming, and keep elevating. Because elevation is key. And elevation causes expansion. So we want to make sure and continue to elevate, just like you said, continue to change our habits for good, and continue to read, right? Continue to do our own research, which is key. So definitely you can check me out, www.dtr360books.com, or you could click the link in the bio. All right, sis, any last words?
No, thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you always. You know what I'm saying? I was there in the beginning, and I love watching the growth, everything that. Thank you guys too. I see all the comments. I just didn't know if he's recording the podcast. I don't know what he was doing. So thank you guys for the love. You have an amazing community. You always know how to grow things from the grassroots. It's so authentic, and I appreciate all these platforms that you always create. Like, I really appreciate that. And if you guys want to find me, my web, you guys are amazing. My website is I'll put it in the chat, www.dbryson.com. You can schedule a consult with me. Like I said, I talk to people about anything. You do not have to start a business. You don't have to spend a dime. But if you want to discuss something, you're trying to figure things out, you can reach out to me, especially on social media. Follow me too. Follow me on social media.
Yes. Give them your Instagram, Facebook. I see you put your website up. Yeah. All right. So yes, definitely keep in touch, family. We need to support each other. Definitely.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Great. So you see it there. Can I pin it? Yep. Pin it for about 2 more seconds, and we are out. Again, thank you, family. Again, you can catch this podcast next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I leave you as I greeted you. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, hotep, Islam, alafia. Peace.
All right.